Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hinei Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Welcome back to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We are on chapter 2 in the middle of Mishnah 12. And the Mishnah says, V'chol ma'asecha yu l'shem shemayim. All of your actions should be for the sake of heaven. Let's see what Rabeinu Yonah says. V'chol ma'asecha yu l'shem shemayim. All of your actions should be for the sake of heaven. Perishus means hadvarm shorashos, things that are permitted. Kama achila shtia, like eating and drinking. Yeshiva v'kima, sitting and standing. Halicha, shchiva, walking, sitting. Hatashmish, relations. V'hasicha, speaking. V'chol tzarchi gufcha. Everything that you do. Meaning here we're not talking about mitzvahs. Obviously mitzvahs, when you fulfill the commandments, that should be l'shem shemayim, for heaven's sake. But we're saying even when you're doing things that aren't mitzvahs, you're just living your normal life, even those things should be l'shem shemayim, should be for the sake of heaven. We'll see what that means shortly. Yukulam la'avodas baracha o l'davar hagorim avodah. So they should all be to serve God, or something that causes the service of Hashem. The purpose of a Jew in life is to serve God, is to serve Hashem, to come close to Hashem. And the way a person does that is, one, by learning Torah and fulfilling the 613 commandments. But we're learning here there's another way, that even the things that we do that are not commandments, but just living our normal lives, if we think when we're doing those things that we're doing them to serve Hashem, then that is called V'chol ma'asecha yu l'shem shemayim. All of your deeds should be for the sake of heaven. And the Ramchal actually writes that when a person, let's say a person eats breakfast, right? There's no mitzvah to eat breakfast, but if you eat breakfast and you think, I'm eating breakfast so that I'll have strength to study Torah today and to serve God and to make a living to support my family, because that's what Hashem wants me to do. When you do that, you turn your eating breakfast into a mitzvah. So even things which are just permitted, they're not mitzvahs, they're just our normal everyday actions of living life, those things can be turned into mitzvahs. So achilu shtia ketzad, eating and drinking, how? It's obvious that we're not talking about a person eating something forbidden. That's obvious you can't do that. Even when you're eating because you're hungry and thirsty and you're eating permissible things, if you eat just to satisfy your physical desires, that's not praiseworthy. But rather you think, I'm eating and drinking to sustain myself, so that I could serve Hashem. And also overeating causes damage to a person. Like the doctors say, right, a lot of sicknesses, most sicknesses come from eating too much, just eating the wrong foods also perhaps. A person should only eat until he removes the hunger. And this will cause him to be healthy. Just don't eat any sweet anytime you feel like having something sweet. Excuse me, something that would be good for your palate. You're always a person always has a taiva. There's two reasons to eat, right? Some of us know this more than others, either because you're hungry or because it tastes good. So a person shouldn't taste good until his stomach can't take anymore. He'll get very sick. And this is what it says: a righteous person eats to satisfy himself. And the stomach of the wicked will be lacking. So he's talking about something, the bad will happen to the stomach. By Rishayim, evil people that just constantly stuff their faces. I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to here though. But the righteous person that eats to satiate himself, just to remove the hunger, he keeps the body going, because he loves to do what is straight in the eyes of Hashem. Those that are very wise will understand. Hayeshiva, Bakima, sitting and standing, Valicha and walking, Ketzad. Obviously, a person should not sit in a den of scoffers, right? Scoffers, leitzim means people that mock serious things. You have, I think Twitter is a good example of leitzim. If you go on Twitter and you see what people write about very serious things and about very serious Torah scholars and how they mock God and mock Torah scholars and mock the Torah and mock all the mitzvahs in the Torah. So that's not a good place to be. You shouldn't sit around people like that. And you shouldn't stand where the people do sins. You shouldn't go in the path of the wicked. Right? That's all obvious things. We didn't need the Mishnah to teach us this here. Even when you're sitting with the righteous, and you're going with their wise counsel. If you're doing this, you're hanging out with righteous people because it's good for you. I benefit personally when I hang around righteous people. That's not the praiseworthy way. You should do it l'shem shemayim. You should do it. You want to hang out with righteous people because you get close to Hashem that way, not because you do business. I don't know. You're friends with this righteous person. You could makes you feel good, and you could do business deals with him or something. That's not what's praiseworthy. What's praiseworthy is, now there's no prohibition doing that. It's not a prohibition, but it's praiseworthy if you do these things in order to serve Hashem. Shchiva keitzad. What about sitting? Or sleeping. Or lying down. We're not talking at a case where a person is able to study Torah at that time or to do mitzvos. And he just decides to sleep instead, right? It's his chavrusa time, and he decides, instead of learning with his chavrusa, studying with his Torah partner, he decides to sleep in. He obviously shouldn't do this. Even when a person goes to sleep, when he's supposed to sleep, in order that he has strength, if you just go to sleep because it feels good, you like napping, that's not praiseworthy. Again, it's not forbidden. It's just you could sleep. Even if he's having relations with but rather you should have intent. I'm sleeping now and resting so that I should be well rested and be calm to be able to study Torah properly. So right, even something as physical as sleep, if a person goes to sleep and say, I'm going to bed now in order that I have strength tomorrow to serve Hashem, that's a mitzvah. He turns his sleep into a mitzvah. Hatashmish, ketzad. What about relations? Obviously, we're not talking about that a person shouldn't have forbidden relations. That's obvious. But even if he has permitted relations, but he's just doing it to fulfill his desires, that is maguna, is not good. Even if he's having relations with the intent that he should have children that should fill his place, he should have good children, or children should fill his place. That's not praiseworthy. But rather he should have intent that his kids, he'll have kids that'll serve Hashem. Or he should have intent that he is having relations now to fulfill the mitzvah of having relations with one's spouse. Like one who, and it should be like one who pays his debt to a debtor. Hasicha. What about speaking? Speech. Keitzad. How so? It's obvious. A person shouldn't speak lashon hara, evil speech, or use dirty language. Even when you're speaking about wisdom, intelligent things, intelligent conversation. You should have in mind that the speech should be in order to serve Hashem, or to bring to his service. Kol shadavar, the principle is chayav adam lasum einav v'libo al kol Yonah v'lishkol kol maasav b'maznei haseichel. A person has to weigh all of his actions. Ukesherotza davar shemaviu li de'avodas baro yasev imlo yifresh mon. And very simple. And if you could do an action which will lead to service of Hashem, you should do it. Bimlav yifresh mimenu. And if not, you should desist from it. V'chenkas Rabeinu Meir zechron v'rachon. This is what Rabeinu Meir said, also of blessed memories. So we learned in this Mishnah, basically, to sum it up, even things which are not mitzvos, things which are normal actions, eating, sleeping, walking, sitting, standing, speaking, they can all be turned into mitzvos by having the intent that they're being done for the sake of heaven. With that, I wish everyone a beautiful day.